My name is Jaden Vashaw. I'm coming at you from Lancaster, New Hampshire. I've been a part of these UP conferences for the past 3 years, and I've always learned something very inspiring. We have had a lot of great speakers in the past, and I think today we're going to have a lot of inspiring speakers that you're going to enjoy. So just remember, stay safe, take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of your friends and family, because right now we are not alone.
Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the 2020 UP Conference. My name is Casey Reagan, and I'm going to be your MC for today. We've got a packed schedule and an incredible lineup, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
What up, everybody? It's your man, Colby Stinson. I just want to let you know we've been doing these UP conferences for I've been going to them for 4 years now. It's been a blast. We've had Chaos and Kindness. We've had Brandon Novak. We've had a lot of great speakers. I want to give a shout out to you. Go out there. It's going to be on a live edition, so you just want to tune in. And if you like it, I promise you, in person, you will love it. We're going through this whole COVID-19 thing, and it sucks, but I want to let you know it's a blast. We have fun, we laugh, we get to know a lot of people. I get to know a lot of people, and I've even had the pleasure of speaking there myself, so I want to see you there.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian Owens. I hope you guys have fun at the 2020 UP Conference. Stay safe.
What's up, guys and girls? It's Tony Hoffman here, Olympic BMX coach from 2016, motivational speaker. Many of you guys heard me 2 years ago. Guess what? I'm back. But not like it was before. I'm back with a small message to encourage you guys to take as much as you can from this conference and really put effort into taking this weird shift in life, this new normal thing with COVID-19, and recognize that it's so important for us to be talking about our experiences. When we feel alone, reach out to somebody. If you have a friend who's starting to isolate, reach out to them. This is a time when we need to be more connected than we've ever been before. And if anybody knows that, it's myself, because I know that when we disconnect and we isolate, we start to deal with a lot of stuff, mental health related. That anxiety, that depression, the confusion, it just leads us to a place where we find ourselves feeling like nobody gets us. People get you, and we all go through things, and we need to encourage each other to overcome those battles that we're going through and to make sure that nobody is feeling ashamed for the experiences that we're having right now. I hope you guys enjoy the conference. I loved it when I was there. You guys are all wonderful. Everybody, the staff, the kids, please take advantage of this conference and have a great time. Peace.
Are you okay? Is something wrong? Or can I help you? Those were the words that I desperately wanted to hear right before I catapulted myself over the rail. I have now lived 15 years past the day I should have died.
When you see a lot of mental illness being expressed, that's a clue that the culture is sick, not the person.
Hey, brother.
Hello, Kevin.
You were the first person to ever say, you know, Kevin, you should talk about this.
Our guest, Kevin Hines, plummeted 200 feet but survived.
Today, I travel the globe spreading a message of hope. Why? Because we know it helps people heal.
There's a huge opportunity as we talk about stories of survival to support people who are out there who are in pain.
I break down on a regular basis. I have symptoms every day. I still have hallucinations, both auditory and visual.
Families of those who jumped from the iconic structure urged to stop the suicides.
One person goes to this bridge to die every 7 to 10 days. I think it's our obligation to stop it.
You go to Paris, go to New York, you go to Istanbul, there are suicide barriers. The more people that know about the horror of that bridge, the more pressure will be put to do something to stop it.
Will this really decrease suicides, you think?
They say things like, why ruin the aesthetics? What are the aesthetics of a bridge compared to one human life?
Kevin Hines, there's no telling how many lives were saved by you because you weren't able to take your own.
Let's get to that place that nobody is being brave who talks about their brain disease. They're just being honest.
My name is Kevin Hines, and this is my story.
My New Hampshire friends, this is your friend Jeff Yalden. To all of you that are attending the Up Granite Youth Conference this year, I want to wish you the best. I want to encourage you to look forward to, get excited about it, and I also want to send you a quick message. I know that we're at a time right now of great uncertainty in the world. Change is one of the things that we have to deal with in life. I don't live my life with a 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan anymore. I'm learning to live with permanent flexibility. I'm learning to wake up and just wake up, get up, dress up, show up. Do the best you can, be a good person, and that's really all you can expect. So for those of you that might be struggling with anxiety, stress, you're overwhelmed, the expectations, the unknown, the uncertainty, I get it, and I'm with you. I understand. But I want to let you know that nobody can help you if nobody knows that you're having trouble with these feelings and thoughts. I encourage you, slow down. I encourage you to breathe. I encourage you to get outside, get some exercise, nature, or journal. I also encourage you to never be afraid to speak about your feelings, because you're going to find out other people might be having similar feelings. So the more we talk, the better we feel. And always, always know that you have trusted adults in your life, significant adults. They've been there, they understand. And part of growing up is learning through the wisdom and experiences of other people. So my friends, I love you dearly. Take care. Have a great time at the Granite Youth Conference. And remember, I'm Jeff Yalden. I love you, and I'm always here for you. Take care, my friends.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 3rd annual Up Conference. I'm Greg Williams, one of the organizers. Hey, we were gonna have this at the Mount Washington Hotel this year, but that's not gonna happen. We thought about canceling it, and that's not gonna happen either. What is gonna happen is we're gonna have a great conference, and we're gonna have a lot of inspirational speakers. So let's get this thing started up.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Netto, and I'm 18 and I'll be graduating this year. I participated in the Up Conference in the past couple years, and I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of new people, and I listened to a lot of great speakers. I'm excited that it's not canceled this year. It's going to be different. A lot of things are different, but we're still doing it, so that's great. I think it's important that people still communicate with others and participate in events. Our theme this year is going to be about mental health, so I think that's a good topic compared to everything that's going on now. I think it's important that people take care of themselves and learn to take care of other people. I really hope a lot of people participate, and I'm really excited myself too, so it's going to be great.
Hello everyone, I'm Charmaine from Linwood and welcome to the Up Conference. Thank you for coming today. Because of individuals like yourself who want to push for positivity and make connections, this conference was made possible. Since quarantine started, I've picked up a few hobbies to stay mentally healthy. For example, trying to learn TikTok dances, sewing, and even a few tricks on the trampoline. How are you guys staying mentally healthy? The theme of this conference is mental health, with an exciting guest speaker of Kevin Hines. I'm so glad you're here today, not only to learn, but to make connections and inspire.
I've been going to the Up Conference for quite a few years now, and each one has been a different and unique experience. I was really looking forward to going to Mount Wash this year and seeing all of you in person, as I'm sure a lot of you were, but I think in a way, this is something better and more meaningful. Over the past few weeks, as we've been preparing for this event, I've had a lot of time to reflect. We've all had a lot of time, period. But the more I thought about it, the more glad I was that we were able to pull this event together. I think that the Up Conference offers us something that we all lack even in normal times, but especially now, and that is connectedness. It gives us a chance to get together with like-minded people, to make friends and to see old ones, and to have a shared experience. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that I've been missing that kind of connectedness. So far, social distancing has been a lot of bread baking and slowly losing my mind. It's been hard. It's been hard for all of us, and I think we need to talk about that more. There seems to be an unspoken rule among everyone I've come across that we aren't supposed to talk about how hard it's been because other people may have it worse. And I'm not going to deny that. Obviously, other people have it worse. I mean, personally, I'm very privileged to say that all of my family members are safe and that I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from, unlike so many people I know. But just because other people may be struggling more than you, or I would rather like to say in different ways than you, doesn't mean you aren't struggling. And it especially shouldn't mean that you don't talk about how much you're struggling. I'll start, okay? I'm struggling. I'm stressed and grumpy. I'm bored to tears. I'm scared. I am. It's a scary time. And that's okay. I'm struggling, and I'm sure a lot of you are too, so talk about it. We all need a friend right now, which is why it's more important than ever that we feel connected to each other. So please, find someone who cares about you and tell them what's wrong. If you need, get professional help. There are so many resources out there for you to utilize, and please, please do. Because how you are feeling matters. You matter, so please get the support and help you need. If it's okay, I'd like to share a poem that's been helping to get me through this time. It's been a reminder to appreciate the small moments, the little things that make the day bright or even just bearable. It's called The Orange, and it was written by Wendy Cope. I hope it helps you too. Here it is. At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I got half. And that orange, it made me so happy, as ordinary things often do. Just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park, this peace and contentment, it's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list and enjoyed them and had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist. I'm glad we could all be here together, even if we're not here physically. This is a hard, hard time. If you can, tell someone you love them today. Call your grandparents or hit up a friend. Know that you're not alone in this and spread the message that we will get through this, but we need to stick together. Once again, my name is Casey Reagan, your MC for today. This is a really stressful and lonely time, which is why I think this is probably one of the most important UP conferences we've ever had. I think it comes at a really critical moment for all of us, and I think it will serve as a reminder that we all need to take a breath and take care of ourselves. Especially in this time of political and social upheaval, as well as a time of isolation and fear, we need to remember that before we help anyone else, we need to help ourselves, which is why the messages we're going to hear today are so important. Today, among other things, we're going to talk about the importance of getting help and staying connected. We're going to hear from speakers like Kevin Hines and Eric Becker, as well as Ed Garrity and students from across the state. Reagan, and thank you so much to everyone who sent in videos for that awesome intro. As you guys know by now, our theme for this UP conference is mental health, and because of this, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the numerous resources that there are for you to utilize. And actually, we're going to have some resources rolling on screen right about here, and we're going to do that periodically throughout the conference. So as we've been kind of talking about already so far, we're all feeling really isolated right now, and I think all of us are struggling in some way. And because of that, it's important that we're getting the help we need, whether it's from a friend just talking to somebody, or whether it's in professional resources like these. It's so important that you get help when you need it, because how you are feeling matters. No matter what you are feeling, whether you're stressed because school's ending and your grades aren't good, or it's something more serious. We're all kind of lonely right now, so maybe you need to reach out to a friend. Maybe a friend needs you to reach out. In fact, if you know someone who is struggling, please write down these resources and give them to them. Let them know that they're not alone and that there's so many ways that they can get the help that they need. Please utilize these resources. I really just can't say it enough. And if you have friends, again, these resources are good for everyone. There's so many different avenues for these. You can text, you can call. Just let people know that these are out there. Nobody needs to struggle alone, and nobody needs to suffer in silence. And now we're going to hear a message from Eric Becker, who's going to talk to us about our speaker, Kevin Hines.
What's up, Granite Youth Conference? It's Eric Becker from the Black Crow Project. Hope you all are staying okay in these weird times. I know I'm feeling some anxiety and some different feelings. You know, it's strange. It's strange out there. You know, I don't know what's happening. I know a lot of us don't know what's happening. We don't know really when this is going to end. You know, and it's hard to get really good information. And when I don't have good answers, I kind of get anxious. So I'm sure some other people are feeling anxious too. We're all worried about not getting sick, you know, and finding ways to not get sick. But what I want to talk to you about is staying healthy. To me, staying healthy is drinking enough water and getting enough sleep, eating right, staying connected with the people that you love, your friends, your family, but also staying connected to resources when you need them. It's funny, we have resources on screen right now, and we're going to have them throughout the conference. If you need help, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to not be okay. What's not okay is to suffer in silence, especially in times like these. Because we're all in this together. We're going to see it through. I don't know when the end is going to be, but I promise it's going to come sometime. And we're all going to celebrate. So, reach out to a trusted adult. Reach out to somebody from your school. I know a lot of you are remote learning right now. I'm connected with my students at Grofton still. So reach out to somebody at the school you trust, reach out to a family member, or reach out to one of the resources if you need them. If you're connected to services, stay connected to services. If you need services, get connected. The resources are there. With that being said, coming to you live from California, Mr. Kevin Hines.
I'm pretty good, thanks. You're in San Fran, right?
I'm actually in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta 5 years ago.
How's it down there right now? Warm or?
It's warm outside, but kind of gloomy.
Oh, us too, yeah. So I gotta tell you a story because my mom would love this. So my mom's been really excited for the past few days about the Up conference. She's been talking about it nonstop, how she's going to tune in. And I thought that was really sweet. I said, oh, you're going to tune in and watch me. She told me, no, I'm going to tune in and watch Kevin Hines. So in case she's out there watching.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, tell your mom I said hi.
Yeah, definitely. We're all really excited to hear you speak, especially in this terrible time we're having right now where there's a huge crisis of mental health. So I think your message is going to be really important. So take it away. We're really excited.
Okay. Ready? Okay, wonderful. I'm going to open up with 3 questions. Are you okay? Is something wrong? Or can I help you? I open up with those 3 questions because those were the only words that I desperately needed to hear the day I found myself standing atop the Golden Gate Bridge walkway, believing beyond a shadow of a doubt that I had not one other course of action to take, but to die by these 2 hands from lethal emotional pain. I believed I was useless, I felt I was worthless, and I thought I had no value. On all 3 of those accounts, I was wrong, but my brain was trying to kill me as I desperately tried to cling to life. I never wanted to die jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. I had come to such a place in mental instability where I believed that was my only option. But before I go any further, there's something we must do. We must go back, all the way back to the day I was born. August 30th, 1981, in the great city of San Francisco in the beautiful state of California. I was born to biological parents, Marcia Silvera and Martino Perales. Marcia and Martino had a couple of things going for them. They had their immeasurable and undying love for one another, and that same love for their 2 infant baby boys, me and my only full-blooded brother, Jordash. And they had each other. But they had a great many things going against them. They had no feasible legal income. They had to hustle to survive. They did and sold drugs. And they would leave me and my unattended brother without family while they went to do or sell or score drugs. They would leave us lying there in our own filth, screaming and crying not to be neglected. One fateful day, one seedy motel clerk made just about his most unseedy decision. He heard our screams and our cries in his mind 120 times, and he called the police. And the police came in with Child Protective Services, and they swooped us up, and they placed us into the system, the foster care system, a system that in the 1980s in San Francisco was in shambles, a system that allowed kids to age out to 18 into homelessness, and allowed other kids to be abused or neglected by the very foster parents set to protect them. A system that, sadly, for all the good it does, still does both of those things. My brother and I bounced around from home to home, wherein we both developed a severe case of bronchitis, and my only full-blooded brother died. People have said to me as I give my presentations, Kevin, why does that matter? You were an infant. How did that affect you? Well, it affected me in a great and massive way. I very soon thereafter developed a severe detachment disorder from reality and abandonment issues at 9 months of age. Everything was being ripped from me. I saw 4 foster homes in a very short period of time, having a new mom and dad every couple of weeks or days. But then, unlike my poor brother, I got lucky. I landed in the home of Peter and Deborah Muller. Debbie was a housewife and Peter was in the Army, often having to be restationed. And they were a transitional home for kids. Kids would come in and they'd go out to be adopted. And I came into their home and they were searching for foster parents who would want to adopt a 9-month-old boy with emotional trauma. Because of this emotional trauma, I was physically ill all day, every day. Violently ill. And one fateful day, a beautiful woman named Deborah Joan Hines walked in their door. Now, you know my last name, it's on the screen, so this is a spoiler alert. This one works out. Debbie Hines walked in their door, fully expecting to take home a little girl to be the sister of Elizabeth Catherine, the girl she and Patrick Kevin Hines had already taken in. They wanted to give Elizabeth a sister. I always say in my live presentations, do I look like a sister to you? Nonetheless, she walked in the door, looked down on the carpet, and saw me with my then wavy red auburn hair, my red rubber ducky overalls, and she said in her journal of those days, that was the moment she fell in love. She went back to Pat Hines. He said, let's do it. Let's take him in. He needs us. And I needed them. And they took me in at 9 months old. And every day for the next 30 days, I was violently ill. All day, every day. Sick as a dog. And nobody could tell Pat and Debbie what was wrong with their new-to-be son. Doctor after doctor saw me, was given $1 million workup, and no one could tell what was wrong with me until they came up with that realization that it was secondary, physical trauma secondary to emotional trauma. I was so physically ill because of the abandonment issues and the detachment disorder from being bounced around for so long, and from losing my brother and losing my mom and dad, my birth mom and dad. You know, I got lucky, unlike my poor brother, in the sense that Pat and Debbie Hines made me their son, gave me a future filled with opportunity, possibility, unconditional love. And I would finally, after 30 days of being in the Hines home, come to a calm. In her journal, my mom would write that she came over to my crib on the 30th night of unrest, on the 30th night of me not sleeping well, not eating right, being physically ill. She came into my crib and she said, Gio, because my name was Giovanni, she said, Gio, you're safe. We're not going anywhere. But if you don't knock this off, we're going to have to give you back. Which was a complete contradiction, but she said it anyway. And it was as if that night that I had actually heard, heeded, and understood her words. For it was the first night in 30 days that I slept soundly, and of course so did she. It was as if I completely understood what my new mom was saying. From that moment forward, I attached to the house, I attached to Debbie and Pat Hines. They adopted me and my sister Elizabeth on the same day, took in another young boy on a different day, and we adopted him as well. We were a melting pot of a family. Me, I'm mixed black, my brother is black, my sister's white, and when people saw us walking down the street, they were confused. But that was their problem. We were happy. We were a family filled with love, joy, and hope for the future. Growing up, I thought, how can anything go sideways from here? I'm going to grow up. I'm gonna get into that good school my dad's always talking about, because I'm going to do the hard work to do so. I'm going to get that great job he's always speaking of after that hard work in that school. And I'm going to live a good life because I have opportunity. I've been given the chance to have a wonderful existence because of how hard Pat and Debbie worked. And I thought to myself, how can anything go sideways from here? And that's when I got into high school after grade school. Got into high school. I was among other things a theater kid, on speech and debate, a swimmer, a wrestler, a football player, and I was engaged in all sorts of extracurricular activities. But at 17 and a half years of age, I entered into the theater program, and I was in a play called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I was playing a character they call Gatch. If you know theater at all, Gatch is the character who is a bit of a jerk. He is a philandering businessman. He's got the wife at home, but he's messing around with all the secretaries in the office. That jerk, We all know that guy. And I'm playing this character. I'm wearing one of my father's old suits and ties, which didn't fit me. They had to hem it to fit me. And, he's 6'1" and I'm not, so there's that. And I'm playing this character, but I had been days previous to playing this character, right until about opening night, I had been acting erratically. My mental health had been waning, but we didn't know what to call it back then. I had been losing part of my sanity. But in all of these symptoms I was having, I was dampening them and hiding them from the people around me. So, for example, as I was hearing voices in my head, not that of my conscience, auditory hallucinations, seeing things that nobody else could see or hear, auditory and visual hallucinations, but I was keeping those symptoms from other people because of fear, because of shame, because I thought, who am I going to tell and how are they going to understand that I'm going through this? I don't even know what I'm going through. It looks to me to be real as the hands in front of my face. But I got on that stage nonetheless, and I'm playing that character. And I look out into the 1,200 person audience, and I begin to freak out. I begin to believe in a state of paranoid delusion that every single one of the 1,200 person audience was there to do one thing, end my life simultaneously. I believed that at any moment, the 1,200 individuals in that audience were going to rise, rush the stage, and kill me. Of course, this was the furthest thing from the truth, but I couldn't see it. I could not see the forest through the trees. And so I ran off stage. I ran to the lobby and I was met with there by Mr. John Fennell. John Fennell was the theater director. He was, as I call him, a wonderful man, but a failed actor turned high school thespian director. He was a wonderful man. He was one of my heroes, one of my favorite teachers, a second father figure to me, a great man. And tragically, John Fennell would end up dying by suicide later on. That's a story we don't have time for. It breaks my heart just to say it. But I met him in the lobby that day, and he sat me down in the theater treasurer's chair, which was very fitting because at the time I was the theater treasurer. The kid with no conceptual math skills, that was a bright idea. And he sets me down. He says, Hines, he always called me Hines. Hines, can you please finish the performance? It's not even intermission yet. What are you doing? And I just babbled incoherent nonsense for the next 10 minutes. I could not make out 3 words in a row that made sense, so of course, John called my mom. And I'll never forget the look in her eyes when she came to pick me up as she gazed into mine. Because I could see within them that she could see within mine the depths of insanity brewing behind them. She very soon thereafter had me go see my very personal and very own first psychiatrist, Dr. J. Kevin Rist. He was a character as well, just like John Fennell. He would also, just like John Fennell, end his life. Another story we don't have time for. May he rest in peace. But in the beginning, he tried to help me. He put me on medications, put me on a treatment plan, but the idea was that I would be to follow that plan. But I didn't. I was 17 years old, and I wanted this label of a disease to go away. I didn't want to be labeled bipolar. I didn't want people to think I had flaws. I didn't want people to think I had a mental illness. I was completely ashamed of it. I was completely in denial. And it left me pretending to follow the treatment plan to the best of my ability while fooling everyone around me. When my father would ask me how things were going in treatment and therapy, I would say, great, Dad, I'm making headway. I'm following the treatment plan. When the doctor would ask me if I was taking the meds, I'd say, you bet, Doc, every night at the same time. When in fact I was taking them one day and not the next, 7 days and not for 7 days, while binge drinking until blackout on the weekends while on psychotropic medications, which could have ended me. But I wasn't trying to die by suicide at that time. I was just trying to stop the pain. And that's what this was about. An insurmountable, immeasurable, unrelenting, lethal emotional pain that began. From 17 years of age to 19, I was on a very rocky road, skyrocketing into manic euphoric natural highs, coming down and crashing into the abysses of depression. I would go up and I would come down. I would go up and I would come down on a daily basis. I would even rapid cycle. I was a mess. From 17 to 18, I was so upsetting to my mom, Debbie, I punched holes in her drywalls. I yelled and screamed. And finally, on my 18th birthday, she said, "Kick rocks, get out of here and call your father. Get out of my house." And I had to leave. This was the most optimistic woman I'd ever known. And she lost her optimism for me. And I went to go live with my father. And we would just have yelling matches every single day. It was horrible. And at 19 years of age, after 2 years of haphazardly battling this disease, I buckled. I buckled and I began to think of ending my life. I began to think that this lethal emotional pain was too much to bear, that it was too much weight on my shoulders. I sat at my desk in my office, in my room, at my dad's house, and I wrote that note. That note that only 22% of civilians actually write who die by suicide. I wrote that note to my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister and my best friend Jake Lewis at the time. I wrote that note and I said, "Mom, I love you, but you're not always right. Dad, I love you, but stop bringing the office home. This isn't work." I said to my little brother, who wanted to be nothing more than the greatest DJ on the West Coast, to be a household name. I said to my sister, who wanted to make films, "You get this, you got it, go get it." I said to my best friend, "You'll find another best friend," which is not remotely how that works. I put that note in my notebook, and that notebook in my shoulder bag, and that shoulder bag by the door. At 6 in the morning, I entered my father Patrick's room. He lay there sleeping, wearing his breathing apparatus, his sleep apnea machine. And I startled him awake, and he looked at me and said, "Kevin, what's wrong?" I said, "Nothing, Dad. I just wanted to tell you that I love you." In my mind, it was for the very last time. He said, "Kevin, I love you too, but it's 6 in the morning. And I don't have to be working till 9 and go back to bed." And he fell soundly asleep as quickly as he had awoken after he put that mask back on his face. Now, what happened that day was in no way my father's fault. No one taught Pat Hines suicide prevention. What parent is taught suicide prevention? What parent knows when you ask the question, "Are you thinking of killing yourself, and have you made a plan to take your life?" that it actually gives people permission to speak on their pain, and they're more likely to tell the truth than not. You're not taught that when you become a parent, but you should be. I sat at my father's bedside, on the opposite side of his bed, crying, rocking my body back and forth in tears, begging myself not to do what I was about to do, not to jump. But the voices in my head were too powerful, too loud, too boisterous, and they would win the day. My father came into my room at 7 a.m. He said, "Kevin, I'm very worried about you and I don't know what to do. Why don't you come to work with me today?" I said, "Sorry, Dad, can't do it. I've got a math test today." And that should have been his first clue. I hate math with a fiery passion. You couldn't pay me to do a math test any day. On this day, I wanted to. That's also no fault of his own. Finally, my father looked at me and said, "Kev, you seem like you've calmed down because I made myself." He said, "Kev, you seem like you've calmed down. Why don't I take you to City College? You take the bus home. I'll see you home at 6 tonight." I said, "Sure, Dad, sounds good." Knowing full well I was going to the Golden Gate and I was going to end my days on this planet. We get in the car. I grip my shoulder bag to my chest because I didn't want him to find the note. He talked the whole ride because he was nervous for his son. He rarely speaks when spoken, only when he speaks when spoken to, usually. I'm the one that's usually talking too much. This was a rare situation. I was quiet, he was talking. We got to the kitty corner on the side of the City College campus. My father turned to me, as he always has, and said what he always says. "Kevin, I love you, be careful." He said it every day. There are some days he called me just to say it. I kissed my dad on the cheek goodbye, as I had done since I was a tiny tot. I told him I loved him, and I stepped out of the car with my right foot and I stood. A tear rolled down my cheek, off my chin, onto my right lowe's boot, onto the middle shoelace. I will never forget that moment as long as I shall live. I watched my father drive away, and I said to myself, that's the last time I'll ever see anybody I love, and the very last time anybody I love will ever see me in being completely content to die from lethal emotional pain by these two hands. I walked onto campus. I walked into the counseling department. I dropped all of my classes except English. I went to my English class. People have asked me why. Why did you keep your English class? Well, it wasn't because I was going to someday write a book and become a literary master. No, you can read my book. There are 36 errors in the opening acknowledgments alone. No, I went to English for one reason. The teacher was beautiful, and I wanted to see her one last time. It was the only rational thing I did all day. I went and I got on a mini train and onto a bus. On that bus, I began to cry softly, moderately, and then waterfalls flowing from my eyes and mucus dripping from my nose. I began to yell aloud on a crowded bus filled with 100 people. Leave me alone, but I don't want to die. I'm a good person. Why do you hate me so much? What did I ever do to you? And now 100 people are looking down the barrel of the bus at me, but saying absolutely nothing except for one man. The man to my left says to the fellow next to him while staring at me and pointing me with his thumb, "What the hell's wrong with that kid?" with a smile on his face. So callous, so mean, so wrong. The bus gets to the Golden Gate Bridge parking lot. 100 people deboard that bus. I'm the only person left on it with the driver. I look in the driver's eyes, hoping, wishing, and praying that he will see my pain and ask me those 3 questions, or at least one of them. Hey, kid, are you okay? Is something wrong, or can I help you? I would have told him everything and begged him to save me. No, I couldn't tell my father that morning, but on that bridge and on that bus, I had become ambivalent. All I wanted to do was live, but my brain was so overwhelming. For those of you who can't quite grasp why someone would become suicidal, ask yourself this. When you find yourself in excruciating physical pain, what do you want that pain to do? You want it to stop, go away, or end. Physical pain is rough. Brain pain is arguably 300,000 times worse than any physical pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I have experienced excruciating physical pain in my life, as you know. But it never once came close to the enemy I battle within. The driver said, "Come on, kid, get off the bus, I gotta go," and motioned for me to get off the bus. I walked down those 2 steps, walked across the Golden Gate Bridge walkway for about 40 to 45 minutes, crying like a child. Bikers, joggers, tourists, runners, police officers searching for suicidal people went by me twice. To be fair, those officers had not been trained in suicide prevention. They are today, and today they've saved between 50 and 120 lives a year, which is amazing. But they weren't trained when I was there. And I found a particular light rail. I leaned over that light rail, crying my tears to the waters below. That's when a woman from my left approached me. She had blonde curly hair, and she walked up to me with sunglasses on her face. And I thought, this is it. This lady's going to save me. I don't have to do this. I don't have to die today. And then she pulled out a digital camera and said, "Will you take my picture?" My heart and mind was crushed. I thought, how could you not see my pain? But this was no fault of her own. She was enjoying what they call the 9th wonder of the world, the most beautiful man-made structure ever created, the Golden Gate Bridge. But I was there to die. I took her picture several times. She walked away, and I walked up to the rail, and I catapulted myself over it into free fall. I was not on any cord to be talked back to safety. I was falling 225 stories at 75 miles an hour in 4 seconds before I hit the water. I hit the water, I went down 70 feet beneath the water surface, and then I opened my eyes. I was alive, and I was drowning, and I didn't want to drown. I swam 70 feet to the surface without the use of my legs, as fast as my arms would take me, and it was the fastest I ever swam in my life, because all I wanted to do was live. I broke the surface, I bobbed up and down in the water, and I did the one thing I've had control over since kindergarten. I prayed. God, please save me, I don't want to die. God, please save me, I don't want to die, I made a mistake. And I prayed that on repeat, and he heard me. A woman driving by in a red car saw me go over the rail at the moment of my attempt and called her friend on her car phone in the United States Coast Guard. The reason the Coast Guard officers got to my body within a 3-minute period before I would set in hypothermia in those waters was because of that woman making that phone call. to her friend in the Coast Guard. Miraculous. In the water before the Coast Guard boat arrived, something began to circle beneath me. Something very large, very slimy, and very, very alive. And I remember thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't die jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, and a shark is going to eat me. And I was freaking out. I'm punching this thing, it won't go away. It's circling faster and faster. No longer am I wading in the water to stay afloat. I'm lying atop it, being kept buoyant by this creature, thinking to myself, this is one heck of a nice shark. I would later learn on the show Primetime Live with John Quinones on ABC television that a man would write into the show I was on promoting a suicide prevention campaign a year later, where I said I thought there was a shark beneath me in the water. And this man named Morgan McWard wrote in, he said, Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet away from you when you jumped. Until this day, watching this show, no one would tell me whether you lived or died. It's haunted me until now. By the way, Kevin, there was no shark like you mentioned on the show, but there was a sea lion, and the people above looking down needed to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. That was my second piece of the miracle. They got me to the ambulance. The ambulance got me to the hospital. One of the foremost back surgeons on the West Coast was leaving for the day. He opted to do me a solid instead. He performed a back surgery on me that is the first and only of its particular kind. 99% of those who have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge never, ever get to tell their stories. They're gone. 1% have survived. 39 individuals in 83 years. 26 of us about remain alive today. Some of them died of natural causes in old age. Of those of us who remain alive today, 19 have come forward to say they all had the same instant regret that I did. Because we recognize something now. We recognize that our thoughts do not have to become our actions. Our thoughts do not have to own, rule, or define our actions. Something we didn't know before. And the moment we left off that rail, all we wanted to do was reach back. Of the 26 that remain alive today, only 5 of us have full physical mobility. Walk, stand, and run. We have been given the gift of a second chance. They call us the most exclusive survivors club in the world. There's a book of the same name by Ben Sherwood. I'm making a final point here. I get to be here. And getting to be here is a privilege and a gift, no matter the pain you're in. I live with regular thoughts of ending my life, but I'll never die that way. I'll never die with my hands for a few reasons. I got to see the wake of destruction my actions caused in my path because I survived. I got to see the devastation I caused to those who love me firsthand. I got to understand what people would feel like had they lost me forever. And then I got to realize that I valued myself. I finally recognized that suicide is never the solution to my problem. It is, in fact, the problem. I will never attempt again because I know my true value. I know my true worth. And when I am suicidal, I will look in the mirror and I will say, Kevin, you are the greatest, you are the best, and I love you. And if I have to repeat that every day until it becomes fact or habit, that's what I'll do, and that's what I've done. I work tirelessly on my brain, mind, behavior, mental health, and well-being. I have a 10-step plan called the Art of Wellness, which I focus on to stabilize mentally. It's a regimen and a routine to balance my brain health. And it works. It works for people all over the world. I'm so lucky that I get to walk this green earth. I, to the 10th degree, appreciate and hold gratitude for every single place I get to go because I almost couldn't, everything I get to do because it almost didn't happen. But most importantly in my life, I appreciate every person I get to come across because I almost never got to meet them. So to all of you watching right now, I want you to go home today after this is over, this live stream is over. I want you to look in the mirror and think of all of the self-hating, self-isolating, and self-hurtful things you've said about your own existence, and turn your negative inner critical voice into something positive. Turn your negative inner critical voice into something beautiful. Look in the mirror, and instead of saying you're ugly, stupid, fat, and dumb, say you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're the best, and you look great. and I love you. Look in the mirror and reverse your negative inner critical voice so you can always survive the pain. I've been through a lot in my life, from my terrible infancy to foster care to my 9 psych ward hospitalizations, a couple of which I was assaulted in. All of these things were terrible. My attempt was terrible. But I've come out on the other side to help you recognize that you are beautiful just as you are. You are perfect just as you are. You are intended to be here until your natural end. And suicide can never be the solution to your problems. It is the problem. If you can recognize that, you can defeat the pain anytime. Don't let your pain defeat you. Let it build you brick by brick from the ground up. And that's my final message for you today. Remember these words. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why we call it the present. And if y'all don't believe me, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda said that, and talking turtles always know what's up. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is our gift. Let us always and forever cherish this day and every single waking moment of this gorgeous gift we all get to call life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. I appreciate you all.
Kevin, thank you. I don't even know what to say. Like, that was, I mean, I knew your story coming into this, obviously, but this is the first time I've had the pleasure of having you speak, and that was, to be honest, like, even more moving than I thought it was going to be. So just thank you for
wow.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. 2 things I especially liked. I loved how you talked about how during it, and I would like to ask you a couple questions about that, but how you talked about how even right up to the moment you were like, I don't want to do this, but even still you couldn't stop yourself. And I also really liked how you said, you know, turning your negative inner voice into something positive. I thought that was really beautiful. So
thank you very much, Casey.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So going back to that first thing, do you think there was anything that anyone could have said at that time, especially your father, when you're talking to him, do you think there was anything he could have said that would have made you stop or pause?
You know, I really believe that had he had the education about these situations, and had he said the exact words, Kevin, are you thinking of killing yourself? And have you made a plan to take your life? That would have shocked me so much that I would have been honest. Because I desperately wanted someone to know my inner thoughts. I just couldn't voice them. But had someone directly asked me that question, I absolutely would have told them the truth.
Yeah. So we've actually got quite a few questions from students across the state, and that leads me into another one, which is about suicide prevention and mental health resources, which is, do you think that, you know, schools and like states across the country are doing enough about spreading those resources and making them available, or do you think there's things we could be doing better about, you know, giving parents training, like you said?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, and this is just something I've been kicking around, I think that every new parent should have the conversation, should be given a conversation by their doctors that mental health is something that your child may have to deal with as they get older. I think that we tell parents all kinds of things to get them ready to be parents, but we don't tell them what to do in the off chance that they end up with a child living with mental illness or mental health condition. You know, I think we need to normalize the conversation about mental health in a way that is it's so easy to talk about from the means of a primary care physician or a prenatal doctor, a pediatric nurse. All of these people should be trained in suicide prevention and mental health, so that when they are talking to parents about their children, they know the most proven, reputable forms of help, treatment, and care on this topic. I think that we have forgotten to do what is necessary in grade and high schools, which is, and this is being done in some places, but I think that mental health education for grade school kids should start in 4th grade. We know that the brain in 4th grade is extremely intelligent and intelligible, and that if given the right wording, and appropriate wording that's safe messaged, friendly, that we can teach our 4th graders about mental health so that when they get to be 16 and they have a diagnosis, they're prepared for it as opposed to not. You know, I think, you know, if you break a leg, what do? Go to the hospital, we get a cast. If we break an arm, we do the same, get a cast. Everyone signs it and says, get well soon. Why isn't it that simple with your mental and brain and mind behavioral health? Your brain is the single most powerful organ in your body. If your brain is malfunctioning, there goes the rest of you. We need to be able to do the same and go to the hospital and ask for help and not be treated differently in those situations, in those times, you know? It's about time we stop talking about normalizing in the conversation and we just do it.
Yeah, that's so important. Thank you. So another question we had is, you know, you talked a lot about in your story, especially in the beginning, how when you started feeling, you know, the effects of your mental health, and you said, I can't remember exact, but you said something about how you didn't want to talk to anybody about it because you didn't even understand what was going on with yourself. And we talked a little bit, just barely, you know, about the stigma you can have with mental health disorders. So one question we have from a viewer is, how do you want bipolar disorder to be perceived by the society?
Yes, I'm so glad this question was asked. It's a brain disease. Like diabetes is to your body or cancer is to your body, it's a disease. The exact cause of bipolar disorder isn't known, but a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain structure and chemistry obviously play a role. We know that. It's a mental disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, activity levels, concentration, the ability to carry out day-to-day tasks. There are different types of bipolar disorder. All these types involve clear changes in mood, energy, and activity levels. So instead of looking at people who have it and saying it's all in your head, let's look at people who have it and say, how can I help you feel better? What can I do to be a part of your routine and your regimen to better mental health to get you to a safer place? It has taken me the better part of 20 years to find a true balance in my mental health, which I have today. I still have all my symptoms, but they're completely manageable because of how hard I've worked to keep them manageable. So I want people to recognize that it's not a death sentence, that with routine and regimen we can defeat it, and that it's not something to judge someone for having. I'll never forget when I first met my wife, Margaret. We were in a restaurant. It was pretty close quarters. You know, there was like a lot of people around, and the tables were close to you. And she started asking me a line of questioning about BPD, and I started saying, well, yeah, no, I have bipolar disorder and with psychotic features, and I hear voices and I see things. And I'll never forget the amount of tables that started inching their tables away from us. Because there were 3 of them. 3 tables filled with people who couldn't take our casual conversation about mental health, and they moved away from us physically. That's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. It's completely unacceptable, and it's disgusting and it's deplorable. And I want to go to a restaurant, have that same conversation, and have people say, hey, my son has bipolar disorder as well. Thank you for talking about it. You know, because that's where we need to be. We need to be in a place where it's commonplace to talk about these struggles. It's okay, it's safe to talk about them. And just like diabetes or cancer, it's a real disease affecting the brain.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. That was great, yeah. And I really like this question also is, when somebody asked, what is the balance between helping others, you know, your friends and your family, but still maintaining your own mental health?
A wonderful question. It's a fine balance, but one that I have mastered over the 20 years I've lived with this disease now. My mental health comes first. Without it, I have nothing. I can't help anyone if I can't help myself, or I'm not okay myself. It's a very similar analogy to when you're flying on an airplane and an oxygen emergency and you're instructed to put your face mask on first before putting it on your child or anybody else. You have to take care of you. You have to be then a leader to go guide and help other people. I think that's the way you got to look at it. Maintain your mental, mind, brain, behavior, health, and well-being, and when you do that, you can help other people balance theirs.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. And this question is about the crisis we're facing right now with coronavirus and how that has really affected people's mental health. So this viewer would like to know, how are you coping with isolation and social distancing? And what would you say to people who are having a hard time with that?
So important, and thank you for that question, whoever asked that question. I think connection is key, especially if we can't physically connect. I mean, you want to socially connect through online strategies or otherwise, FaceTime, Facebook phone calls. You want to see the person and be able to connect with them and see their facial expressions. I think our faith, our family, and our friends during this time, your family doesn't have to be the family you were born to if it's not a good family for you, it's not a good situation you're living in. But the family you create outside of that, your friends, staying in constant contact during a crisis like this, I think people often really do come together. I think we're seeing some of that right now. We were certainly seeing some of that right up until these last few weeks. If you're in crisis, there's things you can do like text the crisis text line. You can text right now CNQR to 741 741. CNQR stands for courage to talk about your mental health. N stands for normalize the conversation. Q stands for ask the questions. Are you thinking of killing yourself? Have you made a plan to take your life? And R stands for recovery. I'm living proof. To 741 741, the crisis text line. Their data collection is unlike anybody else's, and they are finding out the best ways to help people in crisis, not just suicidal crisis, not just mental health crisis, but the crisis going on today in today's climate. And so many people in the mental health space are supporting a transition to telehealth. I think that's really important to mention. Mental appointments are being adapted to get to telehealth, making it more accessible. I use telehealth. I use BetterHelp.com as my therapy base. I talk to a person on BetterHelp whenever I'm having a hard time mentally. I was able to collaborate with them, and just to give you guys an extra resource, you can go to BetterHelp.com/Kevin Hines and get 10% off your first month. And I think that's a really great gift they've given me to give out to other people, because they make it more affordable that way. And it's already a pretty affordable platform, but this is something that if you go to BetterHelp.com/Kevin Hines, you get that first 10% off your first month, and it gives you a platform to speak about your pain on a regular basis, and not just speak about it, but learn the tools, tricks, and tips to get past your pain. I think it's a really important moment right now to dig right into your resiliency skills. We can radically accept situations we face each day if we can understand them. If we're patient and non-judgmental with ourselves and others, we can recognize that we don't have to. We can manage our expectations of other people so that we can be better equipped to help them in their time of need. Oftentimes, empathy is the key to balancing out a situation. And if we have empathy for all and not just empathy for some, we can really move mountains. I think both mentally and physically, we should be taking great care of our health. We should sleep enough. We should eat foods that are healthy for us, exercise. This is important throughout life, but especially critical during times of major stress and change. And I think that I want to help people with my 10-step plan to recovery. And I want to make sure people watching can get that. This is something that people are using around the world as far as Peru, Africa, China, Japan, all throughout America. And you can go to youtube.com/Kevin Hines, which you see above me right here, and you can go to the playlist, The Art of Wellness. It's 12 steps, 10 steps, 12 videos, 3 to 5 minutes easily digestible, on how to balance your brain health and how anybody can utilize these steps, common sense tools that are science-based and evidence-informed to change your life forever. I want as many, and they're free. I want as many people as humanly possible to find them, to utilize them, and to augment their destiny. I've been given this second chance at life. Let me at least try to help other people do the same.
That's awesome. Thank you. And the resource you were talking about before, was that BetterHelp or Health?
Yeah, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp,
H-E-L-P as in Pat.
Okay.
So betterhelp.com/Kevin Hines.
Awesome. Just drawing back real quick, one more question for you, just about, again, the stigmatization of mental health and mental illness. What specifically do you think we need to do as a society, with school and out of school, to help to destigmatize it?
I think it goes back to that earlier answer about teaching it at every school from the 4th grade level. If we educate people, especially children, about what mental health conditions are, their chances of developing one, and how to fight it when they do, and we educate their family and their parents at the same time, or their guardians at the same time, we would have a much better society of educated individuals, because they would be more equipped to survive their struggles and their pain and be resilient in that pain. I think one of the biggest mistakes we made as a country, as a world, is not teaching our children how to be resilient in the face of pain. We teach them about sex ed, we teach them about physical education, but we're not teaching them about mental education, we're not teaching them about how to be resilient in the face of pain. And we're finding a lot of kids, a lot of little kids, a lot of children, a lot of teens, they lack a resilience that they need and a resolve that they need to defeat things like bullying or hazing or things of those natures. I think that once we find a way to educate across all socioeconomic backgrounds how to be mentally stable and how to survive the struggle that is life, we would have a lot more people never attempting to take it, never attempting to die with their hands. So I think that really making it pertinent, building legislation to have this kind of 4th grade level education and on up, continuous education, year-round education, regular education. I think that's one of the best things we can do to change our culture and to shift the paradigm in this country as it pertains to mental health and well-being.
I think that was a great answer, definitely. Well, I think that is all of the questions that we have for you today. Again, I really cannot thank you enough for being here. I loved hearing your story, and I'm sure everybody learned a lot from it, because I know for sure I did. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Casey. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we're done with Kevin Hines, it was amazing, like I said, we're going to roll a few more resources for a few minutes. Again, if you know anybody who is struggling and not watching this, please feel free to share these resources for them. We just want to get them out there to as many people as possible. Please stay on for us, because soon we're going to be joined by Ed Garrity. I hope you had a good time looking at those resources. I hope they're helpful for you. I just want to thank you for joining us for this Up conference. I know I've had a really great time being with you guys so far, and I really appreciate all the time that you've taken out of your day. Feel free to go into this chat, tell us how you're doing, let us know how you're feeling. And so we're really excited now because we're going to be joined by Ed Garrity, who's going to talk to us. Hey Ed, can you hear me?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great.
Where are you
Great,
at?
you're doing a great job here.
Oh, thank you. Where are you at right now?
I'm actually home here in Exeter, New Hampshire,
Oh, nice.
and that's I'm actually in my office.
Yeah, I like your tree behind you. I saw that.
Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you. So what's like social distancing been like for you so far?
Yeah, it's been challenging, like for everyone, and so we really have to make a conscious effort to really continue to connect and reach out to the people in our life.
Yeah, I agree. Connectedness is a big thing we've been talking about today. So like we were just talking about with Kevin Hines, we are facing a mental health crisis right now, with coronavirus and social distancing and all the isolation we're feeling. And so we're really excited to hear what you have to say about mental health right now. So.
Thanks so much, Casey. I appreciate it. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the privilege to be a part of this event. And I really want to acknowledge all of the individuals that are participating and being a part of this. What a powerful message that Kevin Hines just shared with all of us. One of the big messages that I share in my programs is about living and leading our lives with gratitude, and just about how important it is to appreciate the people in our life and to appreciate our abilities and the opportunities that lie before us. Because I think it is so easy sometimes to take so many, simple yet special things for granted, whether it's our ability to see, our ability to hear, to get up when we're sitting and walk out of a room. And that, as we're experiencing right now, our ability to be able to see people in person and to even give someone a hug. I'll always remember when I was at a school where a 13-year-old by the name of Brett came up to me, and he was completely blind. He had been his entire life. And he goes, "Mr. Garrity, I was just wondering if I could get an idea of what it is that you look like." And I said, "Sure, Brett." Well, the next thing you know, Brett takes his little hand, he reaches way up and puts it right on my face like this. So after a few moments of going like this to my face, I'm like, "Okay, Brett, what do I look like?" He smiled real big as he took his hand and he put it right on top of my head and he said, "Well, you're about this tall." And as I talked with Brett, as I hung out with Brett, I could see that they need a great sense of gratitude, a great sense of appreciation for the abilities that he still had. Abilities were going to help him persevere, overcome his challenges, make his dreams come true. And I think that as we grow and work together and look out for one another, it's not just about appreciating our abilities and the opportunities that lie before us, but really to appreciate the people in our lives and to let them know that. It's more important than ever to say those "I love yous" and those "I care about yous," to let people know, hey, I see you, you matter, and I got your back. One of the big questions that I'm getting from people is, "Hey Ed, well that's great, living and leading our lives with gratitude, but with everything that's going on in our country and in the world, Ed, how do you keep that space of gratitude?" It's a great question, and there's a lot of answers. One of my favorite objects is a lighthouse. And as we all know, lighthouses are what help ships navigate their way through storms, challenging waters, get us home safely. In a way, that's what this whole event today has been. One giant lighthouse to help us find our way, to help us to get home safely. In the short time that I have with you here, I want to give you a couple of other lighthouses that will help us to grow and work together to look out and take care of one another. And I think the first thing, and Kevin started to touch upon it, and that is to live in this moment. It is so easy, especially now, to get so caught up in the past or get so worried or concerned about the future and the uncertainty that we miss out on what's happening today, right now, this very moment. You heard the quote from Kevin, "Yet today is a gift. That is why they call it the present." Here's the challenge. Well, then how do we stay in this present moment right here, right now? I want to give you 3 things that you can do every day to be able to do just that. 3 things you can share with your friends and help them do that as well. And the first is this, is that every day I really invite you to start off your day in a space of quiet, taking the time to get to a quiet spot in your house, in your place. Take the time to get quiet and to really think about 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for about in your life right now. You could actually create what is called a gratitude journal. So This right here is my gratitude journal. So this is what I use. Every morning to sit down to say, you know what? Okay, what are 5 to 10 things that I'm grateful about the day? And what it does is it reframes the day and it sets you up to win. It's a really powerful tool that you can really implement, but make it be a part of your life. I think the second thing we can do to stay in the present moment is to really take the time each day to practice that mindfulness, that prayer, that meditation. There's a great author by the name of Tim Ferriss, and he interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs and CEOs and philanthropists across the world. And what he found, that all of those extraordinary individuals, 80% of them, 80% had a daily practice of meditation, of prayer, of mindfulness. And that's a great way for us to stay in this present moment. 2 great apps for that on your phone is the Calm app, C-A-L-M. The other app that's really great is Headspace. Those are 2 great apps that you can check out. So really just want to give you some real ideas and some strategies in addition to all the resources that you're getting here at this conference to help you navigate your way as we look out and take care of one another. I think the third thing you do to stay in the present moment, take that time each day and say, who are the 5 people that I'm going to reach out to today? To let them know whether it's through your social media or whether it's making that phone call or whether it's taking time to actually go old school and write a letter. Just to let that person know, hey, I'm here, I'm thinking about you, and I see it, and you matter, and hey, and I got your back. It's so powerful. That's one big lighthouse, staying in the present moment, and that'll help us be able to keep that space of gratitude. I think another big lighthouse for us as we grow and work together, as we look out for one another and take care of one another, is our attitude, is our mindset. Because we may not always be able to control the events and the challenges and the unexpected things that happen to us in life, but we can always choose how we respond to those events and those challenges. And one of the things that will always determine whether or not we respond to those events and challenges effectively or not begins with and continues with our attitude, our mindset. Some of you are familiar with the work by Carol Dweck on mindset. And Carol Dweck, a professor at Stanford University, she did over 10 years of research on achievement and success. And what she found was that basically in school and in life, you can have one of 2 mindsets. You can have a fixed mindset, which says, your success and achievement is based on your innate traits, and that's it. You're good at what you're good at. Or you can make the choice to have a growth mindset that says, yeah, part of your success and achievement in school and in life is based on your innate traits, your gifts, your talents. But a huge part of your success is based on your resiliency, your grit, your determination, your ability to have the courage to ask for help when you need it. All these resources that are made available to us here today to do just that. Here's the question, how do we keep that growth mindset? One of the ways we can keep that growth mindset is when we have the choice to do so, to make sure that we surround ourselves with those positive people. That's why this event is so great. We all come together and support one another. To this day, my dad still reminds me, remember, there are 2 things that will separate you from others. The books that you read and the company that you keep. So when we have the choice to do so, we need to surround ourselves with those positive people, connect with those positive people, those who rejuvenate us, those who bring us up, those who see you for the extraordinary person that you are. And that way, when we're dealing with people that maybe are in a space of negativity, we have the energy, we have the courage to be able to withstand that. I think the second thing we can do to keep that growth mindset, to keep that resiliency, is not just surrounding ourselves with positive people, it's also surrounding ourselves with positive things. We get to control our environment in terms of what we surround ourselves with, in terms of quotes, pictures, things that inspire us, whether or not we keep our space clean and an energy that brings us up, not brings us down. Here's a great invitation for you. I really invite you to go and create what is called a dream board. And a dream board is simply this. You can go and you get a poster board and you can go through magazines and you find pictures of your goals and your dreams of where you want to go and what you want to achieve, of where does it inspire you. It's not a collage of pretty pictures. It truly is a dream board, a vision board. I'll give you an example. This is my dream board right here. This is the one that I made for this year. For the past 23 years, every year I've made one dream board. And as you can see, I have different areas of it divided up. I have my spirituality, health, my business, things I want to travel to. I have my family right here at the center of the dream board. It's an awesome exercise, a great activity that we can do during this challenging time. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And maybe it's challenging to get the magazines, to get the poster board. Then why not create a virtual dream board? And that's simply just getting on Google Images and then creating a Google Doc. And you can actually create your own virtual dream board and put that right on your screensaver. You can put it right on your phone and you see it every day. What you think about, you become. What you focus on in your life, you attract. It expands. Well, is that it? You just put the picture up and voila, it comes true? No, but it keeps you focused and it reminds you why you're not playing small, but playing big. It reminds you of, you know what? I need to have the courage to ask for help so I can live my dreams. I need to have the courage to reach out to one of these resources because you know what? I know there's so much possibility out there. Do you know who else knows the power of this? Do you know the baseball icon Derek Jeter, from the time he was in the 8th grade, had a picture of Yankee Stadium in his bedroom at home? Danica Patrick, professional race car driver, she talks about how when she was growing up, she had pictures of the racetrack she dreamed of one day racing at, which the day she now has done. Taylor Swift. Yeah, Taylor Swift talks about how when she was growing up in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania, she had her journals were filled with her lyrics and her songs all around her bedroom, guitars all around her bedroom. It was literally a living dream board. It's incredibly powerful. So it's about being grateful and living in the present moment, choosing our attitudes, surrounding ourselves with positive people, surrounding ourselves with positive things. You know, letting people know, hey, I see you and you matter and I'm here for you. I got your back. You know, another big thing that also plays a huge role in us keeping our positive attitude and us keeping that growth mindset, and I don't think we can ever underestimate it, is the power of music. You know, one of my favorite authors is Brene Brown. And if you haven't had an opportunity to read any of her work, I strongly encourage it. In one of her books, she talks about how she has her anthem songs. And what her anthem songs are the songs that she would have play if she was about to get introduced into a giant stadium or into a giant arena. So here's what I want to do with you. I want to have a little bit of fun here. And I want to say, imagine this. You're about to get introduced into the Boston Garden center court, or you're about to get introduced at the center field of Gillette Stadium. And you can have any anthem song play as you're walking out there. What would that anthem song be? And I'd like you to share that in the chat room. So let's see, I'll take a couple seconds here. I'm going to look over here and I want to see what some of these songs are. And Casey, you might be able to read these even quicker than I can.
You got me thinking about what my anthem song might be.
What would be your song, Casey?
I don't know, like every song I've ever listened to has suddenly disappeared from my memory. I have no idea.
I love it. I love it. I know one of mine would be I love the script, the Hall of Fame song. I think that's a great song.
What is that?
It's by the script. It's called Hall of Fame. It's a great song. Yep.
This is me, Greatest Showman.
Oh, somebody said "This Is Me" by The Greatest Showman. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, This Is Me by The Greatest Showman. Yeah, that's awesome.
Champion by Fall Out Boy.
Oh yeah, Champion by Fall Out Boy.
Champion.
Yeah, Fall Out Boy's
There
got
we go. There's Elizabeth said All Star by Smash Mouth.
Oh yeah,
nice.
that's the best. That would be mine. Yeah, All Star.
Eric, I can see you totally doing that, Eric. I can totally see you walking out to Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing, Phil.
Brilliant by Shine.
Kathy, thank you. Raise me up. It's awesome. Cool. Well, keep those anthem songs coming. Definitely keep them coming.
Those are awesome.
Just one final thought I want to kind of share with you here today, and that is that we talk about taking the time and taking the time to look out for one another, to care for one another. And I'm always reminded about an experience that I had when I was in high school. You see, when I was a little kid growing up, one of my favorite athletes of all time was a football player by the name of Walter Payton. Walter Payton played for the Chicago Bears. He was one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL. He played 13 years for the Chicago Bears. He missed one game. And what I loved about watching him is that he always emptied the tank. He always gave 120% effort. He never even really ran out of bounds. He'd always turn it back in for a couple extra yards. And his workouts in the offseason were legendary. The Philanthropy Award in the NFL is named after Walter Payton. And I always thought about how cool would it be one day to meet Walter Payton. And then I started playing Pop Warner football. And as I started playing Pop Warner football, what number did I pick? 34, the same number as Walter Payton. I used to tape my cleats like Walter Payton. I used to wear a towel down the side of my football pants like Walter Payton. I had a mouthpiece like Walter Payton. I was not as fast as Walter Payton. Fast forward my senior year in high school, I'm invited to a leadership conference to sit in the audience and watch a group of individuals be recognized for their outstanding achievement and success in their particular field of work. And as I look at the honorees, I see Johnny Cash, the great musician. I see Winston Marsalis, the great jazz player. Tom Clancy, the great author. And there on the list is Walter Payton, Chicago Bears. That's it. I'm going to meet Walter Payton. I go to school the next day. I tell all my friends, I'm going to meet Walter Payton. They're like, Garrity, you're not going to meet Walter Payton. There's going to be like 1,500 people at that conference. There's no way you're going to meet Walter Payton. I said, I'm going to meet Walter Payton. 6 weeks later, I'm on a plane for the first time in my life down to Nashville, Tennessee, to the Grand Ole Opry Hotel, one of the largest hotels in North America. It was grand, it was old. I think it even had opera. The lobby was so big you could fit 2 football fields inside of it. And I start walking around this lobby and I start asking people, hey, do you know if Walter Payton's checked in? Hey, by any chance, have you seen Walter Payton? One gentleman looks at me and says, I haven't seen Walter Payton, but you know who I just saw? I go, who? Because I just saw Herschel Walker. I go, Herschel Walker, Heisman Trophy winner, played for the University of Georgia, Dallas Cowboys? How cool is that? Half an hour later, I'm still walking around the lobby, and another gentleman walks up to me and goes, hey, weren't you looking for Walter Payton earlier? I said, yeah. He goes, I just saw him way over there checking in at the front desk. Hey, sure it was Walter Payton? It was Walter Payton. So I go all the way across the lobby, get to the front desk, and ask the person, excuse me, do you know if Walter Payton's just checked in? I'm sorry, sir, but I can't tell you that. So I go all the way across the other end of the lobby, and I get behind a big plant. And I pick up the hotel lobby phone. Now, does anybody know what Herschel Walker sounds like? Neither the person at the front desk. Front desk, can I help you? Hi, this is Herschel Walker. My friend, Walter Payton, just checked in a few moments ago, and I was just wondering if you could connect me to his room so I could meet up with him before the big banquet tonight, please. Just 1 minute, Mr. Walker. I'll connect you.
Yeah.
Walter had a high voice. Hello? Hi, Mr. Payton. Yes. Hi, Mr. Payton. My name's Ed Garrity. I'm from Merrimack, New Hampshire. Mr. Payton, I'm a senior in high school. Look, I'm here at this conference, and I'm a huge fan of yours. Mr. Payton, look, you and I have so much in common. You're retiring from the NFL. I'm retiring from my high school football career. I was captain of my team. You were captain of your team. We just won a state championship in football this year. You won a Super Bowl. I was MVP of the week. You were MVP of the season. Oh, Mr. Payton, I'm just a huge fan of yours. I would just do anything if I could just meet you privately one-on-one. He asked, where are you now? I'm in the lobby, behind a big plant. Can you meet me now? Yeah. Okay, I'm in room 2310. Thanks so much, Mr. Payton. I hang up the phone, I grab my camera, my football cards, my bag. 10 minutes later, I'm knocking on 2310. And there opens the door Walter Payton, jacked. He says, Ed, I'm like, Mr. Payton. He says, come on in. I walk in, and across the room is his wife, Connie. And he goes, hey, honey, this is the young man who just called a moment ago. She went, oh, hi, Ed. And before I could even say anything to Mr. Payton, he went, hey, congratulations. I go, congratulations for what? Because we didn't just say on the phone that you won the state championship in football this year? I said, oh, yeah. And he looked down at my hand, and I had my championship ring on, and he goes, can I see it? So a little embarrassed, I took off this giant silver aluminum ring covered in blue glass. And then I looked at him, and I handed it to him, and he kind of smiled as he looked at the side. And then I said, can I see yours? And he takes off this giant Super Bowl ring. And I looked at him, I said, Mr. Payton, I can't believe you didn't get a touchdown in that Super Bowl you played in. He looked at me and he smiled, and I'll never forget it. He said, you know what, Ed, it's not about touchdowns, it's about championships. And before I knew it, he was asking about my family. He was asking about my goals, my mom, my dad, where I wanted to go, who I wanted to become. And then he said, hey, hon, can we get that picture? Next thing you know, I have my arm around Walter Payton, his arm around mine. We get the picture. He signs the remaining football cards. And I'm like, thank you so much, Mr. Payton. He goes, no, Ed, thank you. Thank you for being such a big fan. I said, I really appreciate it. And as I go to walk out of the room, he says, hey, one more thing, Ed. He goes up to the desk and he picks up his wallet. And he opens it up and he pulls out a blue business card. And he hands it to me and he says, these are all my private numbers. If you ever need anything, let me know. Thanks, Mr. Payton. In my office, I have that picture of Walter Payton, and I'm going to show it to you right here. And you can see there's Walter Payton and I. You can tell I look a little bit different back then. And then you can see right there, you can see right here, the card. Make sure that clears off of it. The card right there. And every time I see that blue business card, I am so reminded about how one person took the time to meet with a 17-year-old kid from Merrimack, New Hampshire. There was nothing in it for him. And yet he took the time to listen to my story. He took the time to say thank you. And, you know, with that business card, he took the time to say, hey, you know what? I see you. And you matter. And I've got your back. And that's my challenge for all of us here today as we continue to stand up for one another, to look up for one another, to keep letting people know, hey, I see you, you matter, I got your back. Here's some resources. Take the time, say, hey, I'm here to help. Hey, I see you, you matter, I got your back. It's about standing up for our greatness and standing up for the greatness of others. It has been a true privilege to be a part of this special event. I wish you all nothing but safety, health, and wellness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an awesome story.
Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, I'll admit I was waiting for you to meet Johnny Cash, but
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this. It's a real privilege.
Thank you so much for joining us. Love the story. Very happy to have you here. I hope you have a great week through social distancing and everything.
All right. Thanks, Casey. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So that was Ed Garrity, and that was, I mean, I'm sure I speak for everyone. That was amazing. I really loved the message of positivity in that, and I think he would get along with my middle school teacher, Mr. Kinder, who also really, really liked to say, have a growth mindset. So I thought that was pretty funny. It's also pretty bold of him to say something about the Yankees and Red Sox country, but you know. So once again, we're going to go to resources real quick. Right before we close up, we want to make sure you guys have a lot of exposure to that to come off of that with. So we're going to go to that real quick. Remember to take notes if you need to, get whatever you need out of those, okay? Be right back. Just thanks again, everyone, so much for tuning in. I think this was so much more than I ever could have hoped for. I think it was amazing. We all had a really great time. Thank you to all of our speakers, to Ed, Eric, Kevin, everyone who sent in videos and participated in the chat. You guys were all awesome. If you missed some of this, don't worry, it's going to be posted. Please be sure to check with Flume Media, who helped us out today, as well as the North Country Health Consortium, and you can see if it will be up on Facebook. It will be reposted somewhere. We'll try and keep you updated. Once again, just thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to take care of yourself and to check in with someone today. Just like we heard, check in with 5 people, check in with how many people you can. Take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health, and stay well.